everybody, I'm Mindy K. Smith. I am the Thoroughly Modern Mommy, and this is Epic Stories. This is my cat Dexter. He made an appearance last time, and today's story is about him. So, we got Dexter 14 years ago. Ryan and I were at the mall together. It was the year before we got married, and we were just hanging out, going to the pet shop, because that's what you do when you're at the mall. Not because we were interested in buying a pet, but because we were just looking. And it was the time of night when the parrots are really squawking, and we happened to look at the kitties, and there was this teeny little gray fluff ball who was so unhappy about the squawking cat or birds that he crawled up my shoulder, laid down on my shoulder, and went to sleep. And I looked at Ryan and I was like, well, we have a cat. So we took him home and we named him Dexter because Ryan and I have always joked we're both pretty little and kind of thin and pale and wear glasses and have allergies, and we've joked about how our children then were probably going to be really in trouble, skinny and pale and have allergies and wear glasses, and how we were going to name our first son Dexter. And so we named our cat Dexter so that we weren't tempted to name our child something ironic, because we have that sense of humor and we were worried. So this is Dexter. He is a Russian blue. All Russian blues look pretty much exactly alike. And something that is interesting about them is that they kind of latch on to a person, and that is just their person. They're incredibly loyal cats. So Dexter is my cat. I am his person, and we have been together for 14 years. Dexter has lived with us in every home that we've lived in as adults. He has lived in Brooklyn and on Wall Street and in Ohio and in Queens, and now here with us in Connecticut. 14 is not young for a cat, but he's still pretty cuddly, and he spends a lot of time on my lap. So, we live in an apartment where we are not really supposed to have cats. I busted out the Christmas mug. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. When we moved in, we told our landlord that we had a cat, and she said, it's not a problem as long as nobody complains. Well, who's going to complain about a cat? So we've been here 3.5 years. Nobody's ever said anything. Lily, every once in a while, will tell people, sometimes she'll tell people that we have 3 cats, but she also tells people that we have alligators. So we just kind of left it alone. Then about 3 months ago, maybe, they were putting in a new balcony, and I didn't realize they were coming in that day. So they came in, they saw Dexter. Dexter sometimes has a little problem because he's old. He had pooped all over the floor. They saw that, and the management said that we had to get rid of him. I have to say I had no intention of getting rid of my cat, who I've had for 14 years. And this is not about breaking rules and getting caught. I'm not whining. I'm not being that person. I'm a rule follower. But he wasn't hurting anything. So we may have hidden him when they came to the inspection at our friend's house. And that was the end of that. They came, they said, did you get rid of the cat? And I said, yep. And we moved on. And then about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, we got an email that said, the 3 cats have returned, and if you don't get rid of them, we're going to come and take them away. So first I panicked, and then I got mad because I was like, we don't have 3 cats. I'm not sure where they got that idea, and the only thing I can think is that a neighbor, and I would hate to think that any of my neighbors did this, but that a neighbor told them that we said we had 3 cats. And I kind of wanted to say that they should also look for alligators, because if that's their source, then let's follow it through. You know, we should also look for alligators and any other menagerie that we may have here, according to my 4-year-old. which was their source. We don't have 3 cats. So I was trying to figure out how they knew. They said that they had heard meowing, which is simply untrue. For example, he's on my lap right now. Unless I do this, you don't know he's here. Dexter does not meow unless it is at me to get my attention, whatever. Said he's, meowing a lot during the day. I'm home during the day. It's not happening. So we don't know where this is coming from, but they gave us a deadline to get rid of him. That they were going to come check it out, and he needed to be gone. So at first, my feeling was, we need to find him a new good home. I was heartbroken, but that is the rule, and we were breaking the rule. We knew we were breaking the rule, even though he is my cat who has been with me for 14 years. I tried it first, and one of my best friends who knows a lot and does a lot of volunteering for helping animals find homes for a lot of pet adoptions, she was like, you're going to have trouble. He's 14. Nobody wants a 14-year-old cat. But we were going to try. So the Sunday night before Thanksgiving, I was on Pinterest, and I was kind of quickly on Pinterest because I had decided to go on a week-long fast of all social media, which is also where I've been, by the way. And so I was like, let me make sure I'm up to date on Pinterest so I don't miss any amazing elf on the shelf ideas, right? So I'm looking at Pinterest, and there is a pin, one of those silly life hack pins that I don't usually pay that much attention to, that said, did you know that if you rent, you can pay to get this certificate that says your dog or cat is an emotional support animal, and the landlords can't make you take it away. Because of the timing, I had to at least look. So I looked, and it turns out that's kind of the whole story. You can register your cat as an emotional support animal. Now the problem, or at least the thing that made me hesitate, is that this is under the Americans with Disabilities Act. And I am not into undermining that law. It's there for a reason, and it's there to protect people. And I wouldn't want to be part of manipulating it in a way that it would start to be reconsidered. It's important. But as I read the description, one of the disabilities that it covers is depression. And having an emotional support animal is for people with depression. And this is not something that we have to stretch. It's not something that I have to manipulate. I talk about it here, I talk about it on my blog, I talk about it in life, and I have a long history of doctors who would say, yep, she has depression. And I started to think about Dexter and what he does for me, and how he sits on my lap all the time, and how he nips at me a little bit, but that's okay, that's funny, right? How much he loves me, and how much I love him, and what that does for me when I'm home by myself. And I'm petting him and hanging out with him. And I started to realize that the law was for me. It is for people who have depression and need their animals. And so I registered him. It was really easy. They could ask for a prescription if that's the case. I'm not too worried about the ability to find a doctor who would do that for me. There's also like a website you can call, and they'll give anybody a prescription, and not really down with that avenue of this. To me, this is legitimate. This is an actual important solution to my actual difficult disease. So I registered him. I put myself as the person, and they sent me his license in the mail. The whole thing cost maybe $80. I don't know if it was even that much. There was still a little bit of pushback from the management, and I just was like, you know what? This is the law, and I get to keep my cat. So kind of the moral of this story is not about finding ways around rules, because I'm just not that girl. But it's about appreciating the fact that it's recognized. That the Americans with Disabilities Act does cover depression, and then it covers emotional support animals. And we have a woman in our building who is visually impaired and who has a dog. And I don't really want to put myself in the same category as her because I don't want people to start not taking it seriously. He is not my seeing eye cat. He is my emotional support animal, and I just am really appreciative of the fact that there's a law to protect that, because he's important to me. So, but it's also a little bit about finding ways to deal with what's important. Dexter is important to me. He's going to go now, I think. Bye. Dexter is important to me, and I found a way to keep him, and I'm kind of proud of that. So that's my story today, and that's how you can potentially register your emotional support animal. Just Google emotional support animal. It'll come right up. It's pretty easy, and you can't, take them into restaurants or anything, but you can keep them in your rental. So look it up, and that's it. Next week's story is going to be a really silly one about Christmas. The tree's going to go up tomorrow. It'll be right behind me, and I'll see you then. Thanks.